with a fourth letter now sent to TMZ from a person claiming to have information on Nancy Guthrie's kidnappers. Harvey Levin of TMZ is now making a guarantee to whoever is sending these messages. He joins us now with more. All right, this is the fourth time this guy's connected with you. Fourth time. And I was very intrigued by your comments. What can you tell us about the contact and your guarantee?
Okay, so we got a letter, an email this morning, and this man, it's the same person who sent all four because there's a Bitcoin address, which is the same in all four. And he is demanding now $1,000, $50,000 up front in Bitcoin, and then he will supply the information about where Nancy is, where the kidnapper is, and then will rely on good faith on the part of the FBI to deposit the other 50. So let me first tell you what he said, and then I will tell you what we did. Okay, I'm quoting from the letter now. He said, "I know what I saw 5 days ago south of the border, and I was told to shut up, so I know who he is, and that was definitely Nancy with them." So this is the second time he sent a letter where he's suggesting there's more than one person, but there is a main kidnapper. So he says he knows. He has a burglary conviction, he says, from 10 years ago. He seems worried about being implicated, and he doesn't trust the FBI. So what we did today, I did a social media post where I said, look, you don't trust the FBI, send us the information. We will immediately send it on to the FBI. And then if the FBI catches the kidnapper and finds Nancy, then there is a record that you were the one who did it, because we'll have that. So the FBI can't say he didn't give it to us. We have the record, and they'll end up paying. So that's what I sent. The FBI knows that I did this. They knew beforehand, did not oppose it, and that's what we did.
Okay, when you say this guy had a burglary conviction, did he disclose that to you, Harvey, or I mean, if he didn't disclose it, that would mean we probably have identified who that person is.
He disclosed it. He said it in the letter. Yeah. He was trying to explain why he was afraid to come forward. By the way, in my social media post, I said to him, look, if you are faking this, you're committing a federal crime. And I will say this much. He responded to that and said, I am aware of that. I am telling you the truth. So look, I know the FBI is interested in these 4 emails. They are keenly interested in that ransom note. I can tell you that. So that's where we are right now.
Well, the fact that now, for a second time, he's mentioned that there are multiple people involved is it's interesting, but it also does give hope. I mean, that's as close to proof of life we've had since the get-go as we now enter week 3 here. Let me ask you particularly about the glove, because I know you've been doing a deep dive into that as well. And what have you discovered?
So I've talked to law enforcement about this. And look, I hope that the kidnapper dropped that glove and they find his DNA and catch him and find Nancy. I really hope that. But it is just weird to me, Sean, that if you were him and you went in the house with those gloves, with that disguise, and you somehow get Nancy in a car and start driving, the first thing you would do, even before you put the car in drive, is take the gloves off. Because how do you drive with those gloves on? So if he took the gloves off and put them on the seat, how does one of them end up in a field by the road 2 miles away? It's weird. And I can tell you that people I have spoken to in law enforcement also find that weird. Obviously, there could be an explanation, and I've been told more than once, don't use logic to try and figure this out, but it's just odd to me.
Yeah, it's odd to me, too. What can you tell us about the helicopter-mounted signal sniffer to detect any signal from Guthrie's pacemaker?
Yeah, I mean, what it presumes, Sean, is that she is still right in that area. And she could be. She could be. I don't think they know. The letter I got, the emails I got, say Mexico. Again, I don't know that this person is telling the truth, but twice they are saying Mexico. And so they're not far from the Mexican border. I think the person who is the main culprit here is from that Tucson area, especially because of their seeming ties to these television stations in Tucson. But that doesn't mean that he is holding Nancy in Tucson.
Well, I've always been hopeful about the Walmart connection, the masks, the clothing, the backpack, all sold exclusively at Walmart. And I'm hoping that maybe the person bought all three together or went to the same place. But I've got to imagine that they're going to be able to figure out every time they sold that kind of backpack and to who, and probably a video of it, no?
Well, yeah. And, we found this, and I believe this is the jacket. It's called an Athletic Works Fusion knit jacket. And as you said, purchased at Walmart. So, the bonanza here is if they could find some kind of a sales receipt with both a backpack and a jacket together. That's wishful thinking, but possible. Now, it's not exclusively, some of this is not exclusively at Walmart. That's what we're being told. But it certainly is a big lead. And more than one criminal has been caught by surveillance video after purchasing items in stores. So you bet the authorities are looking at that right now.
Well, my understanding was the backpack in particular was exclusive to Walmart. Is that not true?
The backpack is. Yeah. I can't say that for sure, actually. It is a Walmart backpack, and that's what we thought initially. I'm now not sure that's the only place. It's also a really common backpack, Sean. So, a lot of people have probably purchased this. But I think taken together, when you look at the backpack, when you look at the jacket, if you can find somebody who bought both of them, it starts to narrow the field.
All right, Harvey Levin, great work, and thanks for all you're doing. I think if we're successful here, you will play a big role in it. Thank you. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.